It's not an assumption, it's basic
A
biology.
lot of y'all aren't going to like this, but a lot of things that we think are biological or evolutionary are largely sociocultural. And this impacts every part of our lives from personal to professional. I'm Dr. Anna Kalschmidt. I'm an industrial organizational psychologist, and I research the unwritten rules of work for the working class, neurodivergence, and intersections of race and gender. For context, I grew up with real strict Catholic gender roles, okay? When I used to teach women in leadership at the college level, I would present my students with a well researched article, a classic on evolutionary theory of gender versus sociocultural theory of gender. And I could tell which ones only read the beginning of the article because all of their discussion comments were evolutionary theory makes so much sense. It's great. Of course, women are made to be, nurturers, childcare workers, and men are hunters. That told me they didn't read the article because evolutionary theory was popular in the earlier 1900s until globalization, when we realized how different cultures view gender, that it didn't make sense for it to be evolutionary. Because if it was evolutionary, it would be universal. Everywhere would have the same approach to gender. I'm not saying evolution's wrong. Things that are evolutionary and biological are things like that we walk on 2 feet. I'm not aware of any cultures where people still walk on all fours, but there may be some health conditions that require that, of course. But the same cannot be true for gender. While a lot of places that have experienced colonization have patriarchal structures where men are work more and women are more caretakers, it's not true for everywhere in the world. There are places that have more matriarchal structures where the power is distributed evenly. Now, gender roles apply at work, and they vary depending on what culture you're in. A lot of my research on the unwritten rules of work, looking at a class, neurodivergence, race, gender angle, challenges the assumption that there is a neutral professional culture. There isn't. That's the short version. Professionalism is dependent on which culture holds the power. I've been discussing one of the unwritten rules of work, which is the informal hierarchies in organizations. I shared a post recently about someone who asked me on LinkedIn, why are informal hierarchies a problem? Isn't it intuitive to just have the organic hierarchy? And I asked them, what's the organic hierarchy? And they couldn't tell me. And I asked people on here too, and they still couldn't tell me because these things aren't natural, they are cultural. All cultural hierarchies are dependent on the culture you are in. These are cultural constructions that reflect power dynamics. So the next time you hear someone talk about how something's just biological or just evolutionary, ask yourself, is this the same everywhere? The challenge is, what I'm saying natural, or is it a dominant cultural perspective that is so common it is just seen as normal? It's easier to just assume it's biological. We all consume so much information nowadays that it's exhausting to have to think about things, right? Think about who the dominant culture is and remember who it might leave out. It'll make you a better leader and human.